Many of the changes are anti-Christian. So how do we live in such times? Our theme for the second quarter, from April to June, I believe, answers this question. Because our second quarter theme is, in times like this, we need to look to God. In April, we are looking at discerning the will of God. In other words, in times like this, those who want to make it are those who will discern God's will for their lives and want to live according to God's will for their lives. Things are hard for us. Sometimes there seems to be no sense of peace and joy. And this is not because God has changed. But I believe that is because we have failed to live according to God's plan for our lives. Because many of our troubles are as a result of wanting to be like others. We have rejected God's will for our lives and have taken the course of people's what? God's plan for people's lives. And so discerning the will of God for your life, for me, is the first step to happiness and success in times like this. So today we're going to look at the fact that God has a plan for each one of us. It is this plan that if we are able to discern and live according to this plan, friends, we can live happy life in times like this. So know that God has a plan for your life. We are not here by accident. God has a plan for you. Wherever you are, in whatever situation you may find yourself, God has a plan for your life. That's what we're going to look at today. For the sake of time, I'll be running. Yeah, I have four main points here for you today. The first thing is, know that God knew or chose you before you were born and ordained what He wants you to be. And I'll read Jeremiah chapter 1 from verse 4 to 8 instead of 7, from 4 to 8. Jeremiah chapter 1, 4 to 8. And I read, the word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Ah, sovereign Lord, I said, that is Jeremiah, I do not know how to speak. I am only a child. But the Lord said to me, do not say I am only a child. You must you must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. God knew, in fact, the Hebrew word there shouldn't use the meaning that we have in English. The Hebrew word is chose. So God knew you. He chose you before even you were born. And ordained who you are to be. So friends, if we want to discern God's will and if we want to live well in times like this, the first thing that you need to know is that God chose you before you were even born. In other words, God knows you more than you know yourself. And He ordained who you should be. You see, if you look at the points there, He has set you apart for a purpose. God has set you apart You are not in this world for nothing. For a purpose. Those who have read those books, that I think the Stevens family, in my family, we have read those books by Rick Warren. You see, God has a purpose for your life. And so He has set you apart for that purpose. In times like this, you need to make sure that you go according to the purpose of which God brought you here on earth. So He has set you apart, that's what He said. And if you look at this text carefully, it appears God had ordained that Jeremiah should be a prophet. But Jeremiah said, no, not me, because I am just a child. Many of us don't want to accept what God has purposed for us. We always want to be like other people. And that is our problem. In God's own plan, Jeremiah was to become a prophet. But he gave an excuse. Oh, I am just a child. Perhaps we thought that prophets were old people with what? A long beard. He wouldn't want to be a prophet. But perhaps somebody else. Most often that is our problem. We want to be like someone. We don't want to accept God's plan for our lives. That's why we suffer. So know that God has set you apart for a purpose. And I tell people, I said this last week in Manchester. Look, when we say success is not getting money. Look, one could have money, houses, cars, but will not be successful. Why? Because I understand success to be what? Accomplishing God's purpose for your life. So if God has a purpose for you to be like this, and you chose another course and you got everything, you have failed. You have failed. Because that was God's plan for your life. And that's why we struggle in life. We always want to be like other people. And trying to be somebody is very hard. You know that. But because you may not get the talents to be like that person. So you will struggle. And you become confused and despair in life. So, friends, know that God knew you before even you were born. And ordained who you should be.